Universal Epic Universe could be just 1 year away from being complete. Things continue to progress at an amazing rate. We have some amazing footage of Starfall racers testing both train cars, plus some beautiful additions to the How to Train Your Dragon world, and the Viking statues are now visible, and more theming has been added to the facades in Super Nintendo World, plus much, much more. Today we'll look at all the latest updates, so let's dive in. We are starting in the How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. A new structure can be seen here, just on the other side of the bay. We can see it briefly in the flyover. Trees and a berm have been added around it to hide the newest building under construction in the Celestial Park side. Over by the bridge next to the extended queue, some new concrete forms are being created. The one right in front of the bridge could be just for landscaping. In the flyover, there are trees in a similar shaped concrete form. Near this planter box is a concrete foundation where pillars will be for a dragon house. Theming has started on the entrance to the attraction called Dragon Racers Rally. The tower is now up and painted. Scaffolding surrounds the building as they work to theme it. Off to the side, some sheep are covered in protective plastic. A recent addition are the grandstand seats on top of the grandstand structure. Scaffolding surrounds it as they paint the pillars. Some of the dragons can be seen in their houses. The other attraction in the world is Fire Drill. It will be a boat ride where guests will shoot targets with water cannons. 3 of the boats can be seen here. They've also been adding stuff to the sides by the wall. One of the places guests can grab a quick bite to eat is Hooligans Grog and Gruel. It will have festive racing themed food. Over at the family-friendly roller coaster Hiccup's Wing Gliders, a still frame has been added. This will be for the tent over the queue. Inside the first launch of the ride is a yellow protective covering over what we believe is a toothless animatronic, while Hiccup can be seen on the other side of the launch station. On our last update, they had begun work on the entrance to Hiccup's Wing Gliders. Here's how it looks now. They made lots of progress since the last update. There's a pair of wire-framed sculpture figures on each side of the entrance. Also at the load station for the roller coaster, roof shingles are being added. We can see the difference from the roof that has no shingles to the side with the shingles. Mead Hall will be the central dining location for the Isle of Berk. Scaffolding has come down around the mountain. We can see all the green that surrounds it. Plus, we can get a good look at the Vikings at the entrance to Mead Hall. Bowls can be seen in front of each statue. The bowls will have fire inside them. Here is what they look like when the fire is on. In the Village Plaza, these 2 newer structures have continued to be worked on. I believe this will be Gober's Forge. Gober is the resident blacksmith. On the Discover Universal blog post about the world, it said that we will experience iconic locations from the film, including Gober's Forge. Gober can be seen in the concept art in front of the structure being built right now. On our last update, the tower over the bathrooms was covered in scaffolding, but we could see the design of the top. Now, in the most recent update, the scaffolding has come down and we can get a good look at the design of the tower. Plus, the newest addition is this red windmill. The bathrooms are connected to the Spitfire Grill, which hasn't seen as much work as the bathroom side. They've been working on this rock wall, which is where the snow wraith will be, as seen in the official concept art. Lastly, in this world, let's take a look at the progress of the Viking training camp. This will be a fun play area for kids. Last update, they were working on the concrete in this area. Now several pillars have been placed and are standing up. Plus, we can see a Y-shaped beam is on the ground inside the pillars. Over here, more pillars will be placed. This is what it will look like when it's all done. Now, let's go over to Super Nintendo World. This is the last of the portals inside Celestial Park to receive its ring. This will be unlike Japan's Super Nintendo World in that we will go up escalators to enter the world. Super Nintendo World will be made up of 2 areas, Super Mario Land and Donkey Kong Country. Super Nintendo World will open with 3 rides, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, Yoshi's Adventure, and Minecart Madness. Minecart Madness surprisingly only has a 36-inch height requirement, which is the same as Yoshi's Adventure, and that's a slow-moving ride. Although this roller coaster is expected to be a thrilling and family-friendly ride. Seen here on the track is a clearance test device. This is different than the reach test device that gets placed on the vehicles. This one is to make sure that none of the themed elements or scaffolding are in the way as they are testing the cars as they go by. The arrow shows the pathway to the outdoor queue. It's on the other side of the coaster track. Right now it's been covered to protect the flooring. Before it was covered, it was being painted this golden yellow color. The pathway to the entrance to the ride has concrete forms in preparation for a concrete pour. A cart can be seen over here. Work on the foundation for Funky's Fly and Buy gift shop has begun. Here is how it looks in the flyover. The bubbly barrel snack stand is seen briefly in the flyover. Here is how it's looking so far. Workers are positioning the roof frame using a boom lift. Bowser Jr.'s hideout is no longer covered in scaffolding and looks to be finished. This is where you enter once you've won 3 keys from the key challenges. Next to the entrance to Bowser Jr.'s hideout is where the leaderboards will be to check your progress. I actually predicted this is where they would be last year in my video comparing Epic's Super Nintendo World with Japan's Super Nintendo World. You can check that video out. Here in the middle, just outside Bowser's Castle, they're creating something. This will have big colorful blocks. Down on the lower level in the center will be where Mario and Luigi will meet guests. We will also meet Toad in Super Nintendo World. Perhaps this upper section is where guests will meet Toad. Universal hasn't told us where Toad will have his meet and greet, but I wonder if this is the place. Here's how it will look when it's all finished. The lower level has now been covered with concrete in the main courtyard. The entrance to Donkey Kong Country is still dirt, however. Toadstool Cafe has been covered in gray, but will eventually look like this. In the press release, Universal said that the menu will have Mario and Luigi themed burgers, Super Mushroom Soup, Piranha Plant Caprese, Fire Flower Spaghetti, and meatballs. However, they might have a few menu items special to this Super Nintendo World. We'll have to wait and see. The entrance to Yoshi's Adventure Ride now has scaffolding around it. In our last update, it wasn't covered, but now scaffolding is around it as they put the finishing touches on it. Some trees have been added near Princess Peach's castle. This is next to a Piranha Plant we saw last update. The turrets on each side of Princess Peach's castle are being covered in a purple lining. The Goomba Crazy Crank rolling cylinder is now painted green. However, if it's going to look like what it does in the flyover, then it will get another coat of paint. Above Bowser Jr.'s hideout is the winter theming just like in the Universal Studios Hollywood version. The Key Challenge Koopa Troopa Power Punch will be right here in the middle. We can get a good look at the mechanics of the game. You punch a POW block to start a chain reaction. A Koopa shell will blast up the pipe and stun the Koopa Troopa. The Goomba Crazy Crank is right next to it, and the Piranha Plant Nap Mishap is over here. Scaffolding is covering the cobblestone wall. The big Piranha Plant will be placed below the wall. Some of the mushroom shade and seats will eventually be placed just outside the queue for the Piranha Plant Nap Mishap. The conch door from our last update is no longer partially covered. We can now see the entire body. There's also a Piranha Plant over here partially covered in protective plastic. Work is being done to theme the show scenes that the Yoshi cars will pass by. Now let's look at how construction is coming for Celestial Park, the central hub of Epic Universe. Amusement Insider was able to catch beautiful footage of Starfall racers as both train cars have been testing at the same time. Unfortunately, we could see a name change for this ride if the current lawsuit against Universal doesn't go their way. Starfall Education Foundations has filed a lawsuit against Universal for using the name Starfall. The lawsuit is seeking an injunction against Universal which would prohibit trademark infringement and unfair competition. Stardust Racers could be the alternative name since Universal filed a trademark application for Stardust Racers in April. On the back of the car train, we can see something covered. This could be a flux capacitor. When Universal made the official announcement for Celestial Park, they teased that there would be something on the roller coaster that was truly out of time. Here is how the circular concrete is looking at the entrance to the ride. It's been covered off and on as they've worked on it. At the front of the park, work has started on the Kronos portal entry. The first steel to go up looked like this, and then more recently the green steel that goes in front was added. It's starting to look more like the concept art. Some celestial starbursts can be seen on it as well. This tower will eventually hold medallions for each of the worlds. More frames will be added on top to the existing frames, making this tower very tall. At the ticket entrance is another colorful circular concrete that's been worked on. Rockwork has begun over by the arches by the Kronos. In front of the Helios Grand Hotel, work is continuing near the bridge where water will flow down into the park's show fountain. The rocks have been painted and a temporary picnic table can be seen here. At the Atlantic Restaurant, a bridge has been installed where a smaller water feature will be off to the side of the restaurant. Here the entrance to the restaurant can be seen. If you recall, the kitchen is underground, so guests will be walking over the underground kitchen to enter the restaurant. On the other side of the Atlantic is the Lunar Overlook. It now has 2 steel towers on opposite sides, plus the basin below has been painted blue just like the other pools. Not too far from this is an octagonal-shaped structure that has been cemented and framed. Here's how Celestiki Bar is progressing along with the other food kiosks next to it. The other attraction in Celestial Park is Constellation Carousel. Work is still being done to paint the outside frames a gold color. Rockwork has been added over in this corner of the pool. On the ground, the tower for the ride sign can be seen. It will be placed in the circular concrete form over at the other arrow. One of the newest projects is coming along quickly. It's already gone vertical. This is rumored to be for 2 restaurants inspired by Italian and Mexican dishes. Near the show fountain is another restaurant that was a late addition. It's looking quite nicely. This is believed to be called Meteor Astropub. Some windows have been added. There is a Super Nintendo World store located just outside of Super Nintendo World. Outside of the store is a fountain, and it's continuing to see progress. It now has parts of its center features. Now let's check on Dark Universe, the land dedicated to Universal's classic monsters. At one of the restaurants believed to be called Burning Blade Tavern, the windmill on top now has its blades installed. It's believed this will have a fire effect, and we know how much Universal loves to use fire, so there's no doubt Epic Universe will feature fire effects as well. Looking at the roof of the restaurant are some pipes and electrical conduits that are coming out from the bottom of the windmill. Here's how landscaping looks around the restaurant so far. Dirt is being built up to form a hill near the extended queue of the main attraction. This will most likely have trees added to look like the newer berm on the left side of the extended queue. The main attraction of this world is rumored to be called Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. The gateway entrance has scaffolding around it as they work to theme the outside. The ramp and entrance to the manor have been covered to protect the work that's already been done on it. In our last update, workers were carving out stone lines in the concrete. Scaffolding has returned to the outside of the manor as they work to theme the exterior some more. A metal decoration lines the roof and will eventually go all the way around it. A forest is sprouting up outside the portal entrance of Dark Universe. A mound of dirt has been created with trees over the sides of the portal. This will hide the world from the outside. A crypt lies just inside the entrance to Dark Universe. It's been painted and looks like it could be almost finished. Tombstones surround the outside of it. Here's a worker on a scissor lift at the back side of the broken wall doing some work. Just about all the pavement in the entire world is covered up to protect it from damage. The other attraction, rumored to be called Curse the Werewolf, has this barn-like structure that the train cars will pass through. Barn doors have been added to it. Work is continuing on this metal frame believed to be for a tent-like structure. It's over the queue for the ride. Scaffolding surrounds it. Over in the village, this side will be a restaurant. It's believed to be an upscale quick service, sort of like the Leaky Cauldron, where you order at the counter and then the food is brought to you. The other side of the village is the main retail shop. In the center of the village is a recent addition that could be a well or fountain. Over at the Wizarding World Mystery and Magic, let's take a look at how the streets of Paris are coming along. Over near the exit to the theater attraction is some new artwork on the building. Could this be an ad for cologne? There is a French cologne called Beau Bleu. In the last update, they had just started on construction of the extended queue for the Mystery and Magic ride. It now has walls and metal frames up. On our last update, they were working on the tent structure for the entrance to the theater attraction. Now metal frames have been added to create a round structure. Also on our last update, workers were just starting to add chimney pots to the top of the buildings. And now the chimney pots are all over the roofs. The portal has colorful concrete in front It looks mostly done except for the sides of the upper circle, which has been prepared for another concrete pour. The entrance to the portal has been covered, so we can no longer see what's going on inside. Lastly, let's take a look at the hotel. The in-park hotel is named Helios Grand Hotel after the sun god. Work is being done on the domes for the top of the hotel. The central dome was being covered over time with an underlayment, and the most recent photo has it completely covered. Earlier in the month, just one of the smaller domes was on the roof, while the other dome was on the ground being prepared to be lifted onto the roof. In the most recent photo, the dome on the ground can now be seen on the roof. Near the dome is a column that has a globe sitting on top. Earlier in the month, this decorative element was on the ground. However, now it's been placed on the building. Roads are being formed for the transportation area in front of the Helios Grand Hotel. The road leads to the multi-level parking structure for the resort. The pool for the Helios Grand continues to see progress. A more recent addition are these steps that lead down into the pool, and some more steps are over here as well. Next to the pool is what looks like a hot tub. Here's a great view of the Helios Grand Hotel from the street. It's really coming along quite nicely. Now let's quickly look at the two hotels outside the park. The Terra Luna Resort has been farther behind with its colorful reflective tiles. However, it now has all of its tiles on the pool side. Here we can see the other side where the tiles have begun to wrap around both ends of the resort. Here's how one of the sides looks. It has almost all of its yellow tiles installed. At the Stella Nova Resort, work is being done on the traffic circle in the entrance side of the resort. On the pool side, several small circles are being created. I believe these are for the trees and plants that will surround the pool area. Here's how it looks in the concept art. This will add plenty of shade to the pool area. Well, that's it for our latest Universal Epic Universe updates. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another update. Thanks as always to BioReconstruct for the great photos. Make sure to follow him on X. Let me know what you are most excited for in this new theme park. And I'll see you in the next one.